I don't know enough about geology to argue with Wolf about this, but I know a man who does. He's an internationally renowned marine geologist, Professor Masaki Kimura of Japan's University of the Ryukyus. Yonaguni's been his special research project since 1995, and he's staked his reputation on it being man-made.
If this has been made by nature, it is very difficult to explain this road. If this part was cut by the wave action,
yes.
So this must exist here, but there is no road here.
Yes. If this is all caused by wave action with blocks falling, which they must have fallen,
right,
then they should be here, and they aren't. There's not a mass of rubble, there's a clear pathway. Why would that be?
It depends over 100,000 of years, smashing all these waves against that coastline. I think they would be able to cut even big blocks.
Well, they're certainly not strong enough to move large stones, because the stones are still sitting there. The ones at the end, for example, there's one here, but nothing in the middle.
So not only this part, all of this part round, carved.
And completely clear of stone.
The question why here's nothing, but here's something, this is interesting.
That's the curious thing for me.
Wolf's argument makes no sense to me, because if he's right, we'd expect to find masses of fallen stone on the path itself. In fact, it's free of debris. On our next dive, Wolf agrees to take another look at the path underwater. Soon we're swimming west along the pathway Kimura and I think must have been artificially cleared. I show Wolf some rectangular sockets on the edge of the path. I don't see how they and other similar features within a mile from here could have been made by nature, as Wolf maintains. A second ramped stone path curves up between two parallel walls 300 feet further to the west, and close by is a narrow tunnel.
Let's pass through here.
The tunnel is aligned on two huge megaliths stacked side by side in the northwest corner of the monument.
Well, when you come out of the tunnel, you will see two megaliths. Okay, I'll have a look.
I've been in front of these massive megaliths dozens of times before. I'm always struck by how powerful and imposing they are. I can't help feeling that they must have been arranged here intentionally, but Wolf still isn't convinced.
It lines with the tunnel. Everything is parallel. The weaker part may be eroded. Parts, two sandstone banks fallen down by any wind or storm or maybe earthquake.
After the dive, Wolf wants to investigate the layers of rock above water. He goes climbing on the shore near to the underwater structure.
We are here in the same sandstone which forms the monument underwater. We are trying to find pattern which show us the way of shaping this formation underwater. What is interesting is the monument shows monolithic structure a bit like this, consisting of layers like this being upright. These monoliths underwater are positioned in a sort of canyon. Two layers could have fallen down and stuck into this canyon.
They fall vertically into a chasm.
Right.
which holds them in place.
Right.
That's your argument. So what's bothering me is why I can't find big slabs of rock lying directly underneath here.
When the sea level was at the stage to influence this area, it could have lifted and pulled away parts from here. They fell down then here.
But if parts of the structure had broken off and fallen down naturally, you'd expect to see them here at the bottom. In fact, the path is miraculously clear. I agree with Japanese geologist Professor Kimura that their absence points to human involvement.
I saw the face.
But no matter how hard I argue each anomaly with Wolf, he puts up a geological counter-explanation. Sharp-edged steps and flat terraces, smooth paths, corridors with guttering, square holes, rounded holes, intricate pools cut down into the rock, and finally monoliths aligned on the opening of a tunnel. All these things, Wolf says, were shaped by local erosive forces and are 100% natural. None, he says, have ever been modified by man. All he'll admit is that it's an amazing place.
I, from my view, would say it's a natural miracle. Everybody who's trying to learn something about forces, natural forces, geology, geomorphology, should come here and have a look. It is seen better than in many, many textbooks.
After days of diving and trying to convince Wolf, even with a professor of geology on my side, I realize that I'm going to have to explore other clues if I'm going to persuade skeptics that these structures point to a missing chapter in man's prehistory. I need to continue the search on land for signs of a megalithic culture that could go back to the end of the Ice Age. I've started investigating Shinto, Japan's unique faith, because I've discovered that an important aspect of Shinto is the worship of stone and large rocks. Shinto venerates natural forces as spirits called kami. The wind, the ocean, trees, rocks, mountains, all are believed to be possessed by kami. This Shinto shrine is beneath Mount Miwa, a sacred mountain, and itself a kami.
In ancient times, heaven and earth were not separate. This was all nature. I think we have to remember what the word kami in Japanese really means. Kami goes back to a pre-Chinese character, pre-era of Japanese history. That kind of spirit that can be ascribed to anything unusual.
But the biggest clue from Mount Miwa is that this prehistoric fascination with the unusual in nature led the ancient Japanese to modify great rock formations as iwakura, sacred godstones. They're revered and bound with sacred ropes. Some are entirely natural, others have been shaped by man. How long have megalithic structures like these been venerated in Japan? What they remind me of are some of the unusual arrangements of rocks that I've seen underwater at Yonaguni. Perhaps geologists can argue about whether they're natural or man-made because they're both. Unusual rocks shaped by man, just like the megalithic shrines on Mount Miwa. Except the underwater rocks were last above water 10,000 years ago. And I found another, even more striking parallel.